Hello, everybody. It's your boy King Quarry here. Wanted to deliver some thoughts and expectations for the X-Men 97 series, which is supposed to be coming out 15 days from when I'm recording this on the 20th of March, 2024. So yeah, let's get into it. The 90s X-Men series is a core inspiration for me personally, being a child of the 90s. And it actually inspired the current comic that I've been working on called The Feared Ones, which you can read on Webtoons for free at this current moment. A link for that will be down in the bio below in case you'd like to read and support your boy. And I've also got a Patreon going on, but enough about that. Everything from the bright character designs, the characters that match those designs so well, like as far as their characterization, and the video games that went along with these, as far as like, I think it was X-Men Children of the Atom and Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which had, pretty much majority of the 90s X-Men crew in the game. And it was a great time. So starting off with my thoughts on this trailer, I'm excited for sure. The 3D animation was throwing me off a little bit, but however, I think the choice of making this 3D could be the result of an inspiration from an X-Men fan series called X-Men Danger Room Protocols. An amazingly done project with 3D pixelated style models using sound bites from the cartoons and video games such as Marvel vs. Capcom, which I previously mentioned, and other media, and as well as sound effects. Marvel shut them down back in 2016, and I think they may be trying to appease that audience, especially when Danger Room Protocols came out. For me, I was extremely excited and I loved what they were doing. So this might be a nod to that, and I could see that. So far, I like the characterization in the trailer, minus just a few things. I wish more could have kept the original design from the 90s and not have been switched to their comic counterpart look willy-nilly. Though I know this character can shapeshift at will, it just left a weird taste in my mouth. I also wish they'd explain the non-binary nature of the character more to make sense of this for the story. And everyone's saying that this is part of some woke agenda, as if X-Men isn't originally inspired by civil disputes in America to begin with. However, I do feel that this choice may be disingenuous. It might be to try to appease the masses, but I do want to say that I think regardless of that, it doesn't hold a lot of weight for the story to begin with. I'm really happy that Bishop is a mainstay now, even if it might be a diversity play, because Bishop is one of my favorites. So it's great to see him, and I'm always going to root for representation of my people, you feel me? Like, I gotta root for us. I was disappointed at the lack of Nightcrawler in the trailer, as I know he will also be a mainstay from the information that I found online. He's also my favorite X-Men, period, point blank. So, yeah, a little disappointed, but, it's not a huge deal. But I'm just wondering why there was so much footage without him. Like, does he come back into the scene later, or how does that work? All right. I hate Wolverine's voice. I thought it'd be a good idea to have Steve Blum reprise the role from his usage on Wolverine in the X-Men. And I think he was also a voice for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which I just double checked, and that is correct. He is a voice on Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which he did an excellent job there. And I also thought that we could definitely find someone to, be a good voice impersonator or something. Like, we got Disney money. It shouldn't be that hard. But the voice we got just really was a letdown for me. Just turned me off immediately. I also wasn't a fan of the Gambit-Wolverine combination because it made me ask way too many questions. Like, yo, is Gambit turning Logan into a kamikaze bomb? What's going on? Like, how is this going to work? I'm hoping they're not going to play with Gambit's powers in some stupid way and say, oh, he can just, turn the claws into bombs themselves instead of the whole skeleton, but we know that's not how that works. So I'm just hoping that Disney doesn't mess with that. All right, so moving forward to expectations, I'm going to give 7 characters that I'd like to see come back in a meaningful way and 2 honorable mentions. So first, I want to talk about Colossus. He declined to join the X-Men twice in the original 90s cartoon, and I believe that this would be a great time to have him, finally join the X-Men, don his costume and everything, especially since he worked on the house with Illyana and rebuilt it after all the things they lost after the Omega Red episode. A lot of time has passed since then, I'm guessing. I'm a big Colossus fan, so I'm hoping we get to see him in action. Next, I actually want to talk about Illyana, also known as Magic. In the 90s series, she has no powers that have been revealed presently, but in a vision of Cable's, we can see her in the future donning some abilities. Yeah, she's a really cool character. For those who are like big Marvel fans, she's showed up in the comics multiple times playing important roles. She has the ability to teleport, summon her soul sword, and a bunch of other small abilities. I think if you've seen the New Mutants movie, she was in that, which, it was a cool representation of the character, even though the movie itself was a little weird. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can see her character develop since they planted the seed at the beginning. All right, so next character I'm thinking I want to talk about is Cable. I'm sure we'll get a comeback from Cable, and I'm excited since he's the future son of Jean Grey and Cyclops, and from the trailer, it's looking like Jean Grey is pregnant. It would make a great excuse for him to come back and maybe save his past self from some big villain. Cable is strong and is always showing up and showing out. Getting into some dope action with him would be great for the series. The next character that I have here is a villain, the only villain on this list. It's a villain I mentioned previously. It's Omega Red. Omega Red is an excellent villain with such versatile abilities. He also was a great character in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I just love his design and his vibe as a villain. He's always been a problem and he's had a great evil presence. He's not so complicated, but when he's on screen, he's not playing any games with anybody. I think it'd be great to see him come back and flex on the current group of X-Men, especially since he was frozen and taken away at the end of the last episode we saw him in, at least if memory serves. I'm hoping that we do get some of Sunfire. He was one of the captured mutants on Genosha. I was about to say Genosha, but that's not right. In the comics, he's played a bigger role. And originally, I thought that he was also in X-Men Evolution, but with a different race. But it turns out I was mixing him up with Sunspot, which obviously they both have fire, sun-related powers and all that, which I'm a fan of Sunspot as well, but I do want to see some more of Sunfire. I think if we do want to make the series more like current and more diverse, it'd be a great chance to use like an Asian hero, since we don't have a lot of those representatives in the 90s cartoon at all. I forgot to mention his powers. He's been able to convert and absorb solar energy and turn it into plasma blast, which I think is a really cool ability. I wasn't able to find any footage of him, so here's some footage from the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon where he showed up, just to give you an idea of what the character looks like and what he's able to do with his abilities. Another character which no one's going to see coming, and that we barely got to see any of, is a character known as Silver Fox. Silver Fox is a romantic interest to Wolverine. Am I the only one tired of seeing Wolverine playing third wheel, pining after Jean Grey? I've seen him with Storm in the comics too, but we barely see any of that in the animated series. I'm tired of him playing third wheel all the time, and I think Silver Fox could bring up some cool plot points, especially since she kind of disappeared from the original series. And again, if we want to talk about diversity and representation, her being a Native American character gives us some more of that. And I'd like to see what the team is able to do with her. The last character before we get to the honorable mentions that I want to see is Banshee. He played a strong role with some of the Juggernaut conflict, and he was helping his girlfriend, I believe, run a mutant research program. Since they worked with Professor X, I think his death should bring them back into the picture. Maybe they could even offer some assistance or resources to the team. Plus, Banshee has a cool, versatile power. Using a supersonic scream and being able to then apply that to flight is a really cool part of his ability to me. All right, that's everyone. So now on to the honorable mentions. I want Iceman, especially because he had a cool relationship with Professor X, pun intended. Especially with Iceman becoming an Omega level mutant in the comics, they could use the firepower. Another character that I'd like to see come back and maybe even deal with the loss of his brother is Juggernaut, since he's Professor X's brother. Though Juggernaut isn't a mutant and he gets his powers from a demon, I think it'd be interesting to see the whole team face off against him. Taking on a big threat brings you back to the nostalgic days of them having to fight Juggernaut time and time again. And that concludes my thoughts. Thanks for rocking with me. I appreciate you for staying to this part of the video. Please give me a like, a comment, and your thoughts on the 97 X-Men series. Maybe a character you'd like to see that I missed. Last thought here, if Marvel somehow don't deliver on this, I might not be a Marvel or MCU or Disney Marvel fan, I guess you could say. Minus one or two titles. I mean, I still want to watch Deadpool and Wolverine, but I don't know. This last phase or two has just really taken it out of me. So yeah, expect another video on the good and the bad and the ugly of X-Men 97 when it comes out. King Quarry signing out. Peace.